Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om. The fourth chapter and shloka number 26. Shloka number 26. I'll read out. Shrotradin Indriyanyanye Sanyamagnishu Juhvati. Shabdadin Vishayan Anye Indriyagnishu Juhvati. That is, there is an extended metaphor which is going on. A metaphor about the yajna. What all, so many human actions are being compared to yajna. First of all, he compared the actions, all the actions of a jnani to a yajna. The lifestyle of a jnani, whatever actions he does, they are all comparable to yajna. I read out from the Taittiriya Aranyakam, that is from the Yajurveda. I read out a passage. Tasyaivam vidusho yajnasya atma yajamanaha, etc., etc., where the atma, the person who is he is the yajamani, the person himself is the yajamani, his hrudayam, his heart is the vedi, and the manyu is a pashu. There is a peg to which this manyu, that is anger, is tied, and that anger is the pashu or animal which is being sacrificed, and kamaha ajyam. So we saw that, and later we also saw Brahmagnau apare yajnam yajnena upajuhvati, that is in the earlier shloka, 25th shloka. In that Brahmagni, that is in the awareness of oneself as Brahman, he is offering, he is sacrificing his individual antahkarana. That means his individual antahkarana he is totally obliterating, he is totally making it zero, and then he is offering in the fire of Brahmagni. In fact, that fire of knowledge is always compared to the fire. That is, in that, for such a person, he cannot have any sort of kama, krodha or anything. Any kama or a desire cannot arise in the case of a person who is in that state of Brahman awareness. So, if a person who is in the state of Brahman awareness, he will immediately, he will focus his knowledge, will analyze how this kama has entered me, how can this kama enter me. So, that is like, and it will immediately destroy that kama. So, you are analyzing that kama, you are immediately destroying it. It is somewhat comparable to what Lord Shiva does. Lord Shiva opens his eyes, means what does it mean? Lord Shiva opening his eye of knowledge is again metaphorical. Lord Shiva opening his eye to destroy kama. There, of course, we are seeing some gentleman called Kama. There is one lady called Rati Devi who is coming and crying. So, we see that Kama as a person who is particularly interested in making a equivalent of Cupid in English. So, but kama is a more general term. It is a more general term which means any desire, not only the desire between man and woman. So, this kama or desire, when it arises, knowledge is something which immediately burns it. Knowledge analyzes it, knowledge scrutinizes it. How can this kama enter into my mind? And that is how Lord Shiva destroys kama, means it is basically figurative. So, we are all supposed to have that third eye, or supposed to be having that third eye. That is what they say. That is what Vedanta says. You are supposed to develop your third eye. So, then this shloka we were seeing, 26th shloka. Shrotradin indriyan anye sanyamagnishu juhvati. I explained what is the sanyama. Sanyama is dharana dhyana samadhi, a person who is in that state of dhyana yoga. A person who is in that dhyana yoga, he offers his shrotradi indriyani. He offers his indriyani means sense organs into the fire of that sanyama. Sanyama is self-restraint. So, what is, let us say, for example, shrotradi. Shrotradi means, shrotram is sense of hearing, shrotram. Shrotra sanyama, let us say, shrotra sanyama. Then chakshu sanyama means restraint of the eye. Then jihva sanyama means restraint of the tongue. What is shrotra sanyama? Shrotra sanyama means we are not supposed to listen to anything which is bad. That is, you are restraining your sense of shravanam. You are only doing shravanam of what is desirable, and you are not doing shravanam of what is something which is undesirable. Something comparable to Gandhiji's three monkeys. Then chakshu sanyama. It is so ideally tallying with the three monkeys. Chakshu sanyama. Chakshu means eye. Chakshu sanyama is what? Not allowing anything bad to be seen. That is, you are restraining your indriya. And you are not allowing it to go after anything bad. So that is, you are offering your chakshu, into the fire, Chakshurindriya, in the fire of that Sanyama. In the fire of Sanyama itself is the fire, and you are offering your tendency to go out. This tendency to go out and look at all dirty things, you are restraining it. Suppose Jihva Sanyama. What is Jihva Sanyama? Controlling your Jihva, controlling your sense of taste, let us say. Then that Jihva Sanyama, that is another type of Sanyama. So it is somewhat comparable to, or Jihva Sanyama, it also says, Gandhi's monkey says, don't talk evil. You can also say like that, because Jnanendriya and Karmendriya. This tongue is both a Jnanendriya and a Karmendriya. Tongue is something which also has the sense of taste, and tongue also is something which is useful for speaking, that is for walk. Walk means for speech. So the Shrotraadini Indriyani, all these sense organs he is offering into that fire of restraint. The second line says, Shabdadin Vishayan Anye. We know that there is what is called Indriya and Vishaya. Indriya means sense organ and Vishaya is sense object. Now the second line is talking about sense objects. The first line was talking about the restraining the outgoing senses. Restraining the outgoing senses. The senses, they go out and seek sense objects. Now the second line is talking about restraining the incoming things. And here what is the fire? Indriya itself is the fire. Earlier it was Sanyama, but here the Indriyas themselves are so purified. Indriya itself is fire. Indriya itself is the fire, from purifying agent or the fire, into which Shabdadin Vishayan Indriyagnishu Juhvati means Vishaya Grahanam. Vishaya Grahanam means whatever intake you are taking, whatever you are having through the senses, they are totally in accordance with Dharma. They are totally permitted, things which are permitted by the Dharma. So that is something which is self-restriction itself is yajna. A sort of such restriction itself is called yajna. So what we saw in the first line is restraining what is called the outgoing sense organs. The second line is restraining the incoming sense objects. The sense objects, they are the things which come through the senses only. In fact, all the objects are cognized by the senses, and these senses carry those impressions to the mind. So the sense organ itself is acting as a sort of a filter. Sense organ itself is acting as a sort of filter, and it is immediately analyzing and it is rejecting what is not needed. So that is what we see here. Of course, here Indriya Nigrahanam is something which is told, because Indriyas are like, there are so many metaphors for describing these Indriyas. Indriyas are compared to horses. Indriyani Hayanahuhu, they say, Kathopanishad says. And the human being, the Atma is like a charioteer, and the whole body-mind complex is like a chariot. And this Indriyani, the sense organs, they are like the horses which are drawing us, which are pulling us in different directions. And Bhagavatam gives another comparison. Bhagavatam is talking about those old days, I don't say good old days, when human beings, when men had several wives. And these Indriyas, they are like so many wives pulling this man in so many directions. That is Bhagavatam 11th Skanda. There is one nice shloka which says, these Indriyas, these sense organs, they are like wives pulling the man in so many different directions. So, like that Indriyani, they are the things which always distract a person. So here what in this shloka, what we are seeing is that control on the sense organs. So that is the reason why the all Vedanta classes, or most of the time, most of the Upanishads, many Upanishads, they start with a prayer. Bhadram karne vishrunuyama devaha, Bhadram pasye makshabhiryajatraha, etc. Bhadram karne vishrunuyama devaha means, oh gods, may we listen, may we only listen only Bhadram. Bhadram means whatever is auspicious. Let us not listen to anything inauspicious. That means not that he always wants to listen to good news. Let us listen to Vedanta Vakya. Let us listen to some sane advice. Let us listen to some good advice. Suppose you are following YouTube. On the YouTube, you are having good, bad and ugly. I always suggest to people, oh, you follow YouTube, because on the YouTube you have got so many good things. And YouTube may be having so many bad things also. It all depends on what exactly you want to see. So, Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyama Devaha means, oh, Deva, again it also means the senses. Deva, the word Deva also has got another meaning in Vedantic literature. Deva also means senses. So, Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyama, may we only listen to whatever is good. Bhadram pashyema akshabhiryajatraha. Bhadram pashyema. May we see only the good things. May our eyes lead us only on the path of dharma. So like that. So that is what that type of thing we see here. The next shloka also is carrying the same metaphor of yajna. It is a sort of extended metaphor, as I said. That next shloka is 27th shloka. Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha pare atma sanyama yoga gnau juhvati jnana deepite. Sarvani indriya karmani. Indriya karmani. We know that indriyas are of two types. That is Karmendriya and Jnanendriya. Jnanendriya means sense organs. Jnanendriya is the sense organ. Karmendriya is the motor organs. So, Sarvani Karmani means all the actions of all the Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. Whatever I see, whatever I listen, whatever I smell, and also whatever I speak, whatever I do, wherever I go, all these things, all these activities of the body and also of the mind. Prana karmani chapare. Prana karma means that is breathing, inhaling, exhaling, etc. They are the prana karmas. Then all these things, they are purified in the fire of Atma Sanyama. Atma Sanyama Yoga Gnau. That is that Agni, in that Agni, which is called Atma Sanyama Yoga. This Atma Sanyama Yoga we are going to see in the next chapter actually. Atma Sanyama. Atma is self. Atma is self, that is but just body-mind complex only. Sanyama, Sanyama we just came across that word earlier in the earlier shloka, that is self-restraint. In that yoga gnau, juhvati, juhvati means they do offer. Juhvati is plural, it looks like singular. Juhvati means plural. Juhoti is singular, juhvati is plural. So juhvati, they offer Jnanadipite. Jnanadipite yogagnau, that yogagni which has been illumined by viveka, illumined by jnana. So here jnana we are not referring to the Brahma jnana, because Brahma jnana's context is over. Brahma jnana's context was over about 3-4 slokas earlier. So now we are talking about not a Brahma jnani, we are talking about somebody, a good man who is a seeker, who is on the right path, who wants to progress on the spiritual line. So we are talking about such a person. So such a person, he all the actions, all the human actions, they are being wetted, let us say. They are being wetted on the touchstone. We also use a word called touchstone. They are all wetted on the touchstone, we say. They all go through the fire of that sanyama. That means whatever action you do is going through that fire of self-restraint. Whatever thing you see, it is going through the fire of viveka. Viveka means analysis. Here the meaning here, jnana deepite, for the word jnana, as I said, it is not the Brahma jnanam. We are talking about viveka. Shankaracharya gives the comment as viveka vijnanena. Viveka means what? That is analyzing what is good and what is bad. There is a book called Viveka Chudamani. Viveka Chudamani it is translated as the crest jewel of discrimination. Discrimination does not mean caste discrimination, race discrimination, not that type of discrimination. Discrimination means analyzing, distinguishing A from B. Is this right? Is this right? So that is discrimination. So that is viveka vijnanena. That is, whatever action you are doing, you are putting it through the fire of that viveka. This is a simpler way of saying, whatever action you do, if you are looking at something, you are analyzing, you are putting it through the fire of that viveka, means you are trying to examine what you are doing is right or not. Suppose you want to do something, you want to go somewhere, is it right or wrong? You want to see something, is it right or wrong? You want to eat something, is it right or wrong? Right or wrong means I am not talking from the point of health. Suppose some villainous person, some bad person has called you for dinner. His intention is totally bad. Is it right to accept dinner, his dinner or not? So that sort of thing. When we are saying whether to eat or not, I am not talking from the point of view of health, from the point of view of dharma. In fact, there is a mantra also which says, Yad uchishtam abhojyam yadva dushcharitam mama sarvam punantu mamapa asatam cha pratigrahag swaha. Asatam pratigraha, that is anything which I have accepted unknowingly from bad people. Suppose I have accepted something from bad people unknowingly. So that also, it is also sinful. It is sinful to accept something from an evil person, because that evil, some little bit of evil gets transferred to me also. Yajamana krutam papam annarupena tishtati. There is a saying. Suppose I do a lot of sin and I invite you and then give some food, feed you, and I also expect some benefit from you. I want to use you. So I throw a lavish dinner to you because I want to use, I want to make use of. Say I am a rich man, I am a big, let us say somebody, who is having a big money, and I want some money. I want something to be done from the government. So I invite somebody, some officer or somebody, give a lavish dinner, and then I expect something. So that officer, if he is accepting my dinner, naturally he is also taking part in my sin. So, yajamana krutam papam annarupena tishtati. So, that is what it says. So, that is how this jnanadipite, the word of jnanadipite, we have to understand that way. Viveka means you have to examine whether this gentleman who has called me for dinner, has he called me with a honest intention or with any dishonest intention. Most of the time, if you are a bureaucrat, most of the people who invite you for dinner, they don't invite you out of love. Very few people may invite you out of love, maybe 5%. The remaining 95% will invite you just for, okay, because in India, everything goes by some recommendation. Even if he is not a bad man, okay, if he knows you, at least, okay, you will be useful at some point of time. So that is what happens in India. This may not happen in some other countries, or it may be worse in some countries. It may not be so in some other countries. But here, of course, if you know somebody, for anything to be done, you have to know somebody. That is a general rule. So, jnanadipite. So, what should we do? We have to examine whether somebody, whether the person who has called me, whether the person who is giving this is a right person or not. So, atma sanyama yogagnau juhvati. There is also a word called aparigraha. In olden days, why olden days? Even today, there may be some Mahatmas who may be following it. Aparigraha means somebody who is having a vratam, a decision, an austerity, a principle, let us say. Vratam is a principle, let us say. In principle, he does not accept anything from anybody. Does not accept anything from anybody. Whatever comes, say, in a normal course of his livelihood, he takes, but not anything from anybody. That is aparigraha, not taking anything apart from what is needed for his basic livelihood. So that aparigraha vratam, it can be slightly extended for various levels. A bureaucrat, a very, very honest bureaucrat, he can be compared to somebody who is also following aparigraha. Because all these concepts, we need not take the examples given in Gita only. We have to translate those examples to modern times. So if we compare it, so somebody who is a very, very honest man, he is following that aparigraha vrata. So, okay, juhvati jnanadipite, that is that viveka. Whatever he does, he puts it through the fire of that viveka. Then the next shloka, that is 28th shloka, then this is also about what type of actions, what type of people are there, what type of austerities are there, what type of disciplines are there, and what should an ordinary man do. In fact, all these things are being described to tell us, okay, you also be like that. There are people like that, they are doing like that. Somebody is doing this particular type of yajna, somebody else is doing some other type of yajna. So now in this 28th shloka also, it is also talking about some other types of yajna. Yajna means not, again, it is only a metaphorical usage. So this 28th shloka I will read. Dravya yajnas tapo yajnah yoga yajnas tatha pare swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yatayah samshitavratah. Again, every word we have to see. Dravya yajnah. Dravya yajna means it is not referring to the yajna, it is referring to the people who are spending their money in a wise manner. The people who are spending their money in a wise means not investment. I am not talking about so and so investment, SBI, mutual fund, not that. Wise manner means in a dharmic manner. That is, those who are spending their money for a good cause, let us say. Those who are spending their money. In fact, the word used here is satpatreshu dravya viniyoga. Satpatreshu. That is, person is having a lot of money and he has to spend his money. And if of course, all people do not donate. There may be stinkingly rich people, but some people may not donate anything. But at least some people are there, some people who are rich and then who also donate. So, but whom to donate? Because dhanam, again, is a very, very important thing. In fact, dhanam is In fact, in Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a huge passage about Dhanam. Shraddhaya deyam, Ashraddhaya deyam, Hriya deyam, Shriya deyam, Samvida deyam. What are all the conditions which you have to, what are all the things which you have to keep in mind when you are giving something to somebody? You have to give with all Shraddha. You should not give with a total disregard. When you are giving something to somebody, you are supposed to give it with some amount of humility, some amount of Shraddha, some amount of earnestness, some amount of sincerity. Then Ashraddhaya Adeyam, it again says, no, you should not do any Ashraddha. Then Shriya Adeyam, you are supposed to give in accordance with your wealth. Suppose you are a millionaire, you are not supposed to give only $1, you are supposed to give more. Then Hriya Deyam, and you are also supposed to give it with a sense of humility. Humility is coming here, that is Hri. Okay, I can only give this much, I am not able to give more. If I were to give, I could have given, but I am not able to give, something like that. Hriya Deyam, Samvida Deyam. That is, you are supposed to know for what type of cause you are giving. With means jnanam, awareness, with some little bit of awareness. Are you giving some money to some terrorist, or are you giving some money to a good cause? So, Dravya Yajna means those people who are giving money for a good cause. It is referring to people, it is not referring to Yajna. It is actually called Bahuvrihi Samasa. Bahuvrihi Samasa is Dravya Vinayogam ye kurvanti te Dravya Yajna. That is how, for those who want to know the Samasa of that Bahuvrihi Samasa, that is it. Those who spend their money for a good cause, they are the Dravya Yajnas. We will continue tomorrow, because the whole sloka talks about Tapo Yajna, Yoga Yajna, etc. What are all the types of good causes to which a human being can follow? That is what we see in this sloka. We will continue tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.